All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Avs surrender a third period lead, lose it in a shootout. This one just kind of makes you feel like blah. So we're going to talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. And you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. Yeah, we're going to be talking about this game today, sir. We'll get to the subtext people a little bit later. The Avs lose this thing, and they lose in a shootout, so yeah, whatever. You get the point, but this just feels like a straight up loss. You know what I mean? So, like, you were really in charge of this game for most of it, and you had another just 30-second memory lapse, and this has happened a few times now. And we'll get into if you think that's a problem, but now this happens again, and Calgary takes advantage of it. You go to overtime. Yeah, you had some opportunities in overtime, pretty entertaining overtime period. And then, you get to the coin flip shootout, and you lose that coin flip, so you don't get the extra point. But I don't feel even good about that, because you're the team that gave up the 2 goals in the third at home. These are the ones you got to put away.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point, and like it's kind of like an overarching narrative. And like, let's be real here, with Dallas playing like they are and Minnesota playing like they are, nothing's going to change pretty much for the Avalanche going here on out.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so I get it's not fun. It's not great. You don't want to see the Avs developing this kind of habit and behavior. But like, this goes back to like the Blues game. You want to see them do just a little bit more. Like it's the old adage, what's the most dangerous lead in the sport of hockey is that 2-goal lead. Because one goal splits the difference, and then the Avs, again, this was exactly 30 seconds that this all transpired in. This team is so high caliber when it comes to scoring. I joke about it all the time. I want a 10 spot. Do it. Don't just stop at 2. Keep pushing. Go for 3. Build some momentum and some mojo and some swagger going into these playoffs. Don't just do the bare minimum and expect to glide to the end and then just kind of, I don't know what's going on in those 30 seconds. This isn't the first time. This has happened a couple times. And it's frustrating. It really is. It's like, kick it in another gear. It's not going to change anything. And if you lose, it's not going to change anything. So just go for it. Just play all out. And you're just not getting that from the Avs right now.
Well, I think you're getting it for most of the game. I had no problem with how the Avalanche played. Just the problem is you're just not getting enough goals in the back of the net.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments in this game that they were just so close, and it would have put the game away. But you just have the problem is those lapses. The other team is just taking advantage of it. It happened in the Stars game. It happened in epic proportions in the Montreal game, and now it's happened here. So, and I'm seeing a lot already of people online saying like, well, this, and you kind of alluded to it of, that things are where they are in the standings. Avs are locked into that third seed. That might be true. But that doesn't mean you just skate through these last few games and we blew that lead. You don't want to do this stuff, because now that you've done this 3 times, now it could be in the back of your head, and it's definitely other teams take notice of that too. So if once you get to the playoffs, Dallas sees this stuff, and they're one of the teams that did this to you. So now, like if this carries over, that's what you don't want to happen. If this carries over into the playoffs and you have a third period lead, it's going to be in the back of your head and it's going to be in the back of your opponent's head too. First round, likely going to be Dallas. They're not going to give up. And say you do have a 2-goal lead. Say you have a 3-goal lead like you did in Montreal. And you give up one. The whispers are going to be there. And that is what you don't want. And don't tell me that they're not trying to win these games. They're trying to win these games. They want to win these games. We say all the time that it's how you play going into the playoffs kind of dictates that carryover. And not saying that the Avs are playing bad. They're not. But these things that you're still at this point in the season needing to correct. And that thing right now is just finishing. Just putting teams away. When you have them away, just put your foot on their throat and just put them away. Easier said than done in this league, but you had a couple opportunities and you just got to find a way, figure out a way to get that extra goal or prevent that goal on their end. And so you can sock away 2 points. This one you just feel like you let this one like slip through your hands.
Yeah.
You should have had.
And it's frustrating because like we mentioned the standings and we are both in agreement that this is not coast time. But like when you see teams like Pittsburgh be eliminated from like there's really no chance of them in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
San Jose, like they're playing fun hockey. Like they're not having a bad time. It's not like they go into the game and it's just like, oh, let's just get through this. No, they're having fun playing the game. They slow it down. They're passing around. They're making good shots. They're frustrating. That Avalanche Penguins game, it was frustrating because the Penguins were playing a free, fun game, and the Avs were doing their job. The Avs, honestly, should be playing free, fun hockey. Build some momentum. Again, you're still building a rapport with these lines, and whatever you're seeing from Landeskog in practice, like that should fire you up too. Like this team should get out there and like go for 3. Now go for 4. Like really challenge each other. Build something. Don't just, okay, well, we got 2. All right, let's get through. And, everybody just kind of like take your foot off the gas. This is a very common Avalanche attitude. You take your foot off the gas just a little bit. Just get through the game, get healthy, get on to the next one. And I just play free, fun hockey. Just let it go. If people get mad that you are scoring 4 or 5 goals that you shouldn't and everything's locked up, too bad. They wish they were.
And again, like, this is 2 losses in a row. You had the 4-game winning streak before that, and you were scoring goals then. For the game against the Senators, you had 5. The shootout win against the Canadiens, you had 5, but that's the one where you gave up, a big lead. You followed up against the Red Wings with 5. You had some late goals there, so you got 5 there. And then the Kings, you had 4. But your last 2, you've really struggled to get in the net. Is that say like, oh no, the Avs are back to struggle? No, but you the way that those games went, especially this one. I talked about the last 2 with the Blues and the Flames, but this one in particular, you had opportunities. You had a lot of opportunities, and not only were you out shooting them by a good clip through most of this game, you were offensively, defensively, you were playing very good. I think. Let me bring up they had 12 shots on goal through 2. Calgary did, and I think they didn't get 13 until. I think maybe there's like 12 minutes left, 13 minutes left. So they didn't get a shot on goal until like, I'd say like 6 or 7 minutes through the third. But they ended with 11 shots on goal in the third and they closed the gap 27-30 for total shots on goal. They had to. They were the team that was down, but you were not doing yourself any favors. It just seemed like things fell apart for a little bit in that third, and then oh no, the score is tied. So
not doing yourself any favors going 0 for 2 on the power play.
No, but and they're a bad penalty kill.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked good. That's the thing. I thought a lot of what the Avalanche did in this game was good. It just didn't result in goals. And sometimes you're going to have those games in this sport. It's the frustrating thing about it. I'm not saying like, oh no, I don't want to say like the Avs. You still have a handful of games to go. Obviously, we're turning the calendar to April. 7 games left, so use those 7 games of like this is be. I hate saying be more consistent because I feel like the Avalanche have, and all of this, what we're talking about for me, just goes back to the last 2 games. Yes, you lost those 2 games, but I feel like I'd be saying the same thing with this game, even if you somehow managed to get this shootout win because of how just this game went.
Yeah,
It just doesn't sit well with you that you had that lead and bam, like that, they tied it. Those are the things that you have to eliminate. Eliminate that, and you got 2 points, and you're good.
Just a 60-minute game. We're not asking for much.
No. So, all right, more to get to with this game. Individual players. We have our subtext people and sound check, all to come. So stick with us. All right, ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNHL, and you get 50% off of the entire first year. Go check that out today. All right. So getting back to this 3-2 loss by the Avs. Interesting shootout choices by Jared Bednar.
That's putting it mildly.
In this one, he went with, and it was a 1-0 shootout. So you went with Ross Colton, which I thought was the most interesting one. Charlie Coyle, who he seems to like. He's gone with him twice now. And Valnichuskin was the last one. So none of your guns. No Makar, obviously. No McKinnon. You figure Nathan McKinnon is a staple in this thing, and Cale Makar would be too. And then you kind of float that third one. I haven't seen his post-game interview yet, so I don't know if he was asked about it. I'm assuming he was. But if I'm going off of what he said last time, he doesn't just go off of vibe. He goes off of stats and how these guys are doing throughout the year, matchups. I'm assuming that's why he went with Colton. I don't know off the top of my head what Ross Colton's shootout record is, but you don't see him out there a lot. So I thought this was interesting.
Yeah, and you heard in the last shootout that it was suggested to put Coyle in. He scouted.
No,
better.
it was Nelson.
Nelson.
He was going to go with Drouin, and Drouin told him go with Brock Nelson. Yeah.
But you also don't want to think that the shootout roster and selection is based on bench selection and like a bench vote. So I kind of when I saw Colton go out there, I honestly was under the impression, and just how I thought, I was like, oh, he's just seeing what he has when it comes to shootouts. Because if this is going to be what it is, give it a shot. See what you got. I mean, honestly, we were talking about what are you really losing at this point. I wanted to see, and I was very curious. And it's one of those things, get you a goal in a shootout, be a game winner, might fire you up, because, boy, he's been invisible as of late.
Colton. Yeah. I don't know. It was interesting. So that is what I don't know. I don't know if it was just like you're saying, like, hey, let's just mix it up a little bit. Yeah. But it's not to say that Ross Colton doesn't have. We know he has an offensive touch.
In November,
I'm thinking about it too much. What's in November? Yeah. So that is what it is. But I thought you had where things started to go downhill was on the Lindgren penalty. And I don't know. Did they give them because that goal was scored? No, they didn't. Okay, it was scored like right as the clock was striking zero on the power play for Calgary. But so that didn't count for them. So they were 0 for 1. But I mean, technically, it was a power play goal. The guy was hardly out of the penalty box, and then 30 seconds later they get another one.
Was not Lindgren's best game. He was -2. And he was a little pylon-ish. Was not my favorite effort from Lindgren so far.
I felt like he was battling though. Like you could tell it was a tough game for him, and he was fighting a lot. But I liked the fight that he gave. Tried to get involved offensively, which is not his thing, but he just felt like he was doing whatever he could to try to overcome things, and then he commits that penalty. And then the Avs don't get one on the other end where I don't know. Again, this is why I wish refs were available. Why wasn't that a goal interference? He literally nobody in front of him. Nobody pushed him. He went in on the goalie on his own, and there's no call there. It would have been nice. Would have been nice, and the Avs could have benefited from a power play because I thought the power play was okay. And again, just didn't get anything in the back of the net. But yeah, Lindgren, tough night for him. I thought Logan O'Connor had a great game.
Yeah.
The goals by the Avs were impressive. The Cale Makar one had that nice shimmy move. I don't remember who the defender was, but just kind of turned him around. He had a nice goal. Logan O'Connor with a really nice goal of his own, kept the puck, juked out a defender, kind of just went across in front of the goalie and put it through the skate and the post. And even the one that they could have had that would have been, the icing on the cake was Devon Taves cutting through, and he had a nice move, and that one just didn't go in. So if that one went in, you would have had 3 goals on really nice moves, and probably would have put the game away, but you didn't get it.
Yeah, I really liked that's LOC's 3rd goal, and I think 5 or 6 games. Like he's
starting to pick it up.
Yeah, he's starting to pick it up right on time. Welcome back, LOC. Yeah. But no, that was great. He really just held on to that puck and was patient and waited for Vladar to break down. Love that shot. Like to see some more. Hey, Nuke was super aggressive on the forecheck and was all over the place. He had that feeling like 1 or 2 more moves, if he could have broke free, he was going to net one at some point. Like, I loved his production in this game. Nuke was just everywhere.
I really like the O'Connor, Kelly, and Drury line.
Yeah.
Really like that for a 4th line. Are they a little bit undersized? Maybe not like massively, but maybe a little bit. But they make up for that in just sheer effort.
Yeah.
The 3 of those guys are not going to get outworked. And Logan O'Connor has a mean side in him. Parker Kelly definitely has a mean side in him. And Jack Drury, you're not going to push him around either. So I really like that 4th line. And I thought they had an excellent game today. I wish, handing that from going, you always say that, like, when you stack that 4th line going to the 1st line, they do well. They do well in setting up your 1st line to do what the 1st line has to do. Now, and the other thing I liked about the 2nd line is there was a point in the game, like maybe like through the 1st, maybe. Yeah, I don't think it was going into the 2nd, but I was like, man, I haven't really seen Brock Nelson much. And it's weird because I'm seeing Nashis everywhere, and I'm seeing Nichushkin everywhere, but I'm not seeing Brock Nelson all that much. But then and this is the good thing about having him. And then he made himself known, not like taking the game over or anything like that, but doing what you wanted to see to do, kind of being there and trying to facilitate and getting things mixed up in the net front. He's great against the boards. So it's like almost like to try to, to go back to the Casey Middlestat days. If he started and he wasn't around, it's kind of how it went for the duration of the game. It's not what you get with Brock Nelson. He will try to insert himself in the game. He's not just going to stand around, be a passenger. He's going to get involved. And if he has a couple bad shifts, it doesn't set the tone for him for the rest of the game, which I love about him.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, because you can have that, and they're very eye-catchy, I think is the good good term for it. Between Nelson, Coyle, and that entire fourth line, you'll forget about them for a while, and you're out there star watching. Where's Kale? Where's Nate? Where's Natchez? You're watching, and then you'll see, oh, there's Brock, and then you'll catch him on the next shift. Oh, there he is again. You'll do the same with Coyle. Like, wow, Coyle's really zipping, and that fourth line feels like they're out there forever. And the game wraps up, and you look out there, and they're under 12 minutes. You're like, that just doesn't make sense. I need to start counting these seconds, because they feel like they're on the ice all the time. You love the pressure, and it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's the thing with the Avalanche. Like, you once you notice a player, then you constantly see them, and then their minutes are kind of deceiving at the end. But I was doing that same thing. I had that same thing. I was looking for, honestly, I was doing that for Charlie Coyle, and you see like Brock Nelson pop up, and then you just can't unsee him every time he hits the ice.
Yeah. One guy that I really need to start stepping it up a little bit more right now is Arturi Lehkonen.
Yeah.
Love the guy. One of my favorite players on the team. It's not one of these things where it's like, oh no, I've lost faith in Lehkonen. No, not at all. Guys go through ruts in terms of, scoring. For now that we're done with March, for the entire month of March, he had 2 goals in the very first game of March 4th against Pittsburgh. And then he had 1 against Chicago on March 10th on Super Mario Day. And then that was it. He hasn't scored a goal since March 10th. And as far as assists go, he's pitching in here and there on assists, but he had 2 on March 6th against the Sharks, had 1 the very next game against Toronto. Then he had 1 against Ottawa, and then 1 against Montreal, and that was it. So that's 5. So 3 goals and 5 assists for him for the entire month. When you're a top 6 guy, and a lot of times a top line guy, playing with who you're playing with, I think, you got to get some more points on the board, man. And the last 4 games, he's had none. 0 in both aspects.
That's Burakovsky numbers right there.
Yeah. So, we know he's capable, right? And he came close a couple times. It's not for lack of trying. Just sometimes you go through these ruts where puck's not going in the back of the net. So we want to see him really kind of take control, and
it'd be nice.
Would be. So, all right, we got some sound checks to get to and subtext people as well. We'll do that right after this. All right, if you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Because Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. If you can get cracking and get snacking with the snack that packs a protein punch, visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. All right, before we get to subtext people, Wedgwood was in net for the Avs. We did want to mention him up too, because again, first 2, I think we're headed towards another Wedgwood shutout. And then he just had those couple moments, but overall I thought he was fine. Like you're like, again, we keep talking about it every time he goes out there. But you're liking this duo that the Avs had, and overall I thought he had another good game.
Yeah, he felt great. I wish you would have got a better 30 seconds, but
he deserves a better outcome.
Yeah, he does. And he gave them their best effort to win that game. They kind of let him down just a little bit.
Yeah. So, where are they next game? I know they're on the road, right? That is Wednesday against Chicago. And Chicago has been your kryptonite this year,
right?
Believe it or not. So you gotta just throw out a lot of anger towards the Blackhawks right now, and they're a different team since the last time you played them too.
They have
Which
nothing
is
to
weird
play
to
for.
say. Well, no, like they the trade deadline and all that stuff. So, come on, guys, just put them away, please.
That's a team that's going to be playing fun, free hockey.
You would think so. You would think so. So nothing to lose, right? All right, let's get to some subtext people here. So let's see. We got Joe says, I'm not going to blame it all on the Zebras, but bad reffing. Again, they inserted themselves and changed the outcome on a nonsense call. And where was the major on Coleman? We didn't talk about that one. Coleman, directly just, punches Makar right in the face after Makar throws a nice hit on him. He kind of like retaliates. This wasn't as bad as the Blues game. But the only ones that I had a problem with was the no call in the goalie interference. It was the only one I didn't have a problem with, or I had a problem with. He wanted a major on Coleman for the shot to Makar. I'm not going to throw a major on that. I mean, they call him for a penalty, but when you lose games like this, I'm not going to throw the refs in the mix here. This was you blowing a lead.
Yeah, this was an Avalanche. The Avalanche lost this game.
Yeah. Heather says, she's asking Kyle, did you enjoy watching Kadri? Avs need to stop coasting and getting a small lead, or after getting a small lead. We used to be the best at comebacks in the third. Now we're the best at giving them up. Get ahead enough that there is no chance of refs missing a call or us trying to point the finger for an excuse. So
yes, Heather,
you get to see your boy.
Yeah, it always makes me super happy. I always love seeing Nas, and Heather has a point. Like the Avs are kind of reverse comeback kids right now.
Yeah,
they're good at letting that go and making games interesting. So get it all out of their system. It's April Fool's Day. Get it all out of your system.
Very true. Ethan said, I was told I was a bummer last episode, so I'm going to try and remain calm. That being said, what an ugly win for Calgary. Puck luck again out of our corner. A couple of good bounces. This game isn't close. Did not love that we didn't stand up for Kale in the third. Avs aren't a retaliation team.
Nope.
They don't do that. They have guys, they've gotten bigger, but they are not. If it's something that's like, really, really, and that was egregious. But something like what, they're always going to protect their goalie. You know what I mean? So you saw that there was a nice little scrum after that non-call.
Yeah.
But you're not really going to see them go getting penalty minutes for stuff like that. And it's just whether you like it or not. I can see both sides of the argument for it. But I think Jared Benner has made it clear, like, you're not going to go, if it's something that's horrible, sure. But I don't want to say that was borderline, but borderline things, they're not going to go do it.
Wasn't it 2020, 2019 when Nathan McKinnon got in that fight and broke his finger or his wrist, messed it up for a while, and he was out?
Garden. Yeah.
And
I think you can go back to that.
Yeah, that was the shift. I think things kind of where they started saying we're going to just do our fighting on the scoreboard. You saw a shift after that.
Yeah, you're right. Cody said, how pathetic. A multi-goal lead gone in the last 10 minutes of a game again, but this time they did pay for it in the shootout. This is the fourth time that this has happened since the trade deadline. In all caps, he says, fix it. Because with tendencies like that, they shouldn't expect to get anywhere in the playoffs. That's kind of what we were talking about. He goes on, but he says, to clarify, I don't mean to say they didn't put in any effort, but compared to some past efforts, this one doesn't rank very high for me. I don't have a problem with the effort, Cody. I think I they were playing hard. I don't think they were on cruise control. And the second goal was just a good bounce for Calgary to have a 2-on-1. So it's not like it was an errant pass or a lazy pass or anything like that. It was just a good bounce that went their way. I don't have a problem with the effort. It's just sometimes, you have these moments. It's just happened multiple times for the Avalanche, which that's the concerning part.
Hey, you're filling out your bingo card. before the end of the regular season. Ways the Avs can win and lose games. Your entire bingo board should be filled up.
Absolutely. So, all right. That brings us to our sound check, where we each pick a song that summarizes the most recent game. Put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow along. Just search for LOA Soundcheck. Volume number 4 is what these go on. So what do you got for this one, sir?
A band I am very confident. I don't think I've ever thrown on the show. I listened to them a lot when I used to go to the gym all the time. I Prevail.
I don't think you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simply for the first, just play this song for the first 8 seconds. The song is called Choke.
Why just the 8 seconds?
That's it. Literally, it's a little bit of a breakdown, and then they just scream choke, and then it's right into the song.
Really?
So it's good. It's good. It's a good start to the song. And
all right,
yeah, you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that was the Calgary game.
So I put these up on Instagram, on the Instagram story with like 30 seconds of each song. That's all I need to put up.
You drag that little thing all the way to the front.
Yeah, and just put it and let the first 8 seconds play. All right, I like, and it's fitting too, because this was a choke job. Yep, absolutely. I'm gonna go. Technically, I mean, this game was the last game of March, but we are now into April, and it's kind of fitting for this song. Great band, which I wish more people would know of. They're called the Parlor Mob.
Oh yeah,
and I love the Parlor Mob.
Yeah,
they're so good. And they have a song called April Showers.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm going, because it just feels like it's raining on us today with this loss, because it was just a bad loss. Like you gotta put especially on home ice, gotta put these games away at this point in the season. No excuses. So
good poll.
Yeah,
I think they had a song in NHL 19 or 20. Yeah,
did they?
Yeah, that's a good poll.
Parlor Mob is a great band. Their second album, called Dogs, is just beginning to end bangers. Bangers. So good. Still listen to that on a regular. So, but haven't come out with something I mean, this was they released this song like just out of nowhere, not for a new album or anything like that. Just one of those random, hey, we're just gonna throw this song out there. And it just like, I need more now. So I haven't.
That's what Wu-Tang does all the time. It's so much
your
fun.
boys. Yeah. So, all right, that is going to wrap it up for today, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, discuss some leftovers, anything else going on in Avalanche country. So tune in to that. But for this, thank you for making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and you have made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby is that much closer to being a Colorado Avalanche.